Hello dear students, and welcome to the session number 5 of our course Database Design and Implementation. Today we will learn about something very important in the relational databases, which is how to create tables, because you know that tables are the most valuable things in the relational database. Also, I will present how to create schemas and what are the main variables that we can identify for entities or for the attributes of entities in the database. Let's start together. So the agenda of today: understand how to define the database tables using SQL. And now I want to say that this session is about how to convert the ERD, the entity relational diagram that we learned how to draw it last session, how to convert this ERD into real database and tables. Learn basic SQL commands like create, drop, alter. Understand and apply schemas in MySQL, explore MySQL data types and constraints, apply best practices for table and column naming, translate ERD into working MySQL schema. At the end of this session, we will work on MySQL and convert one of the ERDs that we created last session. We will convert this ERD into database. First, let me remind you about the schema. If you remember, maybe 2 sessions ago, I presented what's the meaning of schema, and I said it's like a logical container for database objects, tables, views, and procedures. Helps organize large databases, useful for access control and modular design. And if you remember, I presented the schema as a room in a building. So the building will be like the database. The rooms will be like schemas, and inside these rooms we can put the tables. So the tables will be like furnitures in these rooms. Don't forget this. How to create a schema using using SQL. We can simply write create schema. For example, university is the name of the schema. This is the syntax about how to create a schema. And then the usage of this schema is like this: create table, university, point, students. So it's like if we are putting this table, which is students, inside this schema, which is university. So this is like furniture, and university is the room. And for the table, we can create the attributes: student ID, like it is integer. I will later tell you what are the types of variables, but I guess you know already integer as a primary key. Also last session I mentioned what's the meaning of primary key as constraint. So this is a constraint. Also next session I will explain in details the constraints in the databases and how to add them to our tables using SQL. We have another attribute here, which is the name. It's varchar 100. So here the varchar, it's a character. It's like string in programming languages like Python. but it's with varied, or like the length is not fixed. Okay, so we can't change the length of this string or character. And here it's mentioned 100. 100 is the maximum length of this variable. Also, I will tell you everything about this later. What's a schema? Again, in SQL, it organizes and groups databases objects. Okay. The schema doesn't contain data itself. It defines how data is organized and related. Another example about a schema, we can say a car, but without anything inside. Okay. And a car without anything, it's without meaning. So when we add tables like engine, seats, etc., so this car will be meaningful. Okay. If I want to clarify more what's the difference between schema and database, the database is the container or collection that holds all data, all schemas and objects inside. It includes schemas, tables, views, indexes, stored procedures, users, and sometimes the actual data files. Okay. For example, about database, the library database, school database, university database. Okay. Again, imagine a database as a building, and schemas are rooms inside that building. Each room holds different kinds of furniture, like tables, views, etc. But all of these things are belonging to the same building, which is the database. I hope that this is clear, because we will build on this always. Okay. Tables in SQL. A table is a collection of rows and columns. We can call the columns fields or attributes. The rows are records or samples of data. A single entry about one entity, like customer, student, book, order, etc. So here we have this example: table, field, record or field or attribute, and records, the rows. To create a table in SQL, we can write this statement: create table, the name of the table. This is the syntax of the statement. Then we have two parentheses. Inside we will write the attributes and the values of attributes. And if we have constraint also, we should mention. For example, here we have primary key. If you remember, primary key, it's unique and not null. I presented this last session. After writing each attribute, we need to tell SQL that this is the end of this attribute. So we can write this comma here, then comma. For last one, we don't need comma, but just remember, after finishing the creation of table, we need to write this semicolon. For the tables, we can do several operations. These are like some of the operations. We can use select to retrieve data, insert, add new row, We can insert several rows together in one insert statement. Update to modify the data, delete to remove, alter to change the table structure, like adding a column or attribute, deleting something, or changing the structure of the table. Drop to delete the whole table. And if you remember, for the databases, I told you don't use this statement before being sure that you will delete the table, because we cannot undo this operation. Okay? For example, alter table, students, it's in the Schema University, by adding new attribute, which is the email, varchar 255, semicolon. Okay, maybe you will ask how we can write this number. It's depend the thing that you are adding here. The email, it's a little bit long. For example, if you want to add yes or no, we have 3 characters maximum. So you don't need to reserve a big space in the memory. Okay, so you can reduce this number. It's depending on the length of the variable that you are trying to add here. How to use select? The syntax is like this. Select, for example, we can select 2 attributes, name and email, name, comma, email, from the name of the table. The purpose is to read from the table. Okay. Insert, I told you to add rows to the table. We can add values to all the attributes at the same time, like this. So insert into students, we have 4 attributes for the student. So we can add values together. Student ID number 1, the name Alice, email and age. Okay. Update, the syntax update what? The name of the table. Set the age to 21, where student ID equal to 1. So we need always to use where to indicate the correct student and to avoid updating all rows. If you don't use where, all the ages of students will be 21. Okay, so be sure to write the statement correctly. Delete, the syntax to delete a row. Delete from also the name of the table where student ID equal to 1. Also, we need to use where to prevent deleting everything. If you don't use where, all the students will be deleted. Alter, change the table structure. For example, here we can add this phone number as attribute, or we can modify the type of variable of the age. It was integer, we can write small integer, for example. This is the alter. Drop, completely remove a table and the data inside. If you want to delete the whole table, but we will not apply this, just to know the syntax of the statement, drop table, name of the table, for example, students. And now let me present quickly the types of variables the most important. We have integer, you know this integer. We have small integer. For example, like the rating from 0 to 5, it's very small. So just one position, so we can use small integer. We have also big integer, like the number of population. We have decimal, and here we need to mention how many numbers we want before the decimal comma and how many after the decimal comma, how many digits. We have float or real and double. These two variables also indicate the approximate decimal for the float. Okay, so the number will be rounded. For example, here we have 36.6. If we don't use this decimal, the number will be rounded if we use float. Okay. For example, 2 digits after the decimal point. And double can be used for the scientific data if we need very accurate number without rounding, so we can use double. So the number after the number of digits after the point will be very big. Okay, these are the numeric data types. Then we have char, varchar. I think you know these types. Char for the fixed length, like M, ABC, 1, 2, 3, etc. And varchar for variable length, string up to n character, like name, email, city. And maybe this varchar, the length here will be changeable. For example, we have names with 3 characters. We have other names with 11 characters. Okay. Then we have the text for a very large string, like article, product review, etc. The variables related to dates and time. We can also use these types. Date, it will be written year first, then month, then day. Time, hour, minute, second. Date, time, date plus time, like here. Okay. Timestamp, it's like the date time, but it will be added automatically. Okay. We have the Boolean types. We have Boolean, simply, it's false or true. And we have the MySQL alt, which is the Boolean type of MySQL. It can be 1 or 0. 1 will mention true, 0 false. Binary data types. For binary n, it's for fixed length binary data. And we have the var binary, the variable lengths of binary, like the passwords. The passwords lengths will be different. And blob binary for large objects like images or files, user photo, PDF document. And we can say for these raw binary variables. Okay. We have special types of variables also, like enum, enum, a list of predefined string values like status, active, not active, gender, male or female. We have the UUID, University Unique Identifier, like user ID, transaction ID. We have JSON, special type of variables, JSON files. We have also XML files, configuration documents, document structure on the web. So these are special types of variables. Just I'm like showing you these types to know a little bit about the types of variables, but I'm sure you will not use the majority of these types. You will use maybe these variables, date, time, characters, numbers, and maybe the boolean. Okay. And now let's know how to declare the type of variable in the SQL code. Just for the attributes, for example, we need just to write the name of attribute followed by the type of variable, simply like this. Okay. And now let's try to do this exercise. We will apply the SQL code, and we will convert the ERD that we created last week into SQL code to create real database using MySQL. Okay, let's go now to the MySQL workbench and apply this task or this exercise. This is the MySQL workbench after the connection to your system, which you created previously. The name of my connection is test. Maybe it's different on your MySQL workbench, but just connect to it and let's start to apply this exercise. So here I will create a database called school database. I have already created it. So school database, it's okay, done. Then we will use this database. I want to also remind you that always you need to use one database before creating tables, because we cannot put the tables outside the database. Okay, remember the example of building and furnitures. Okay, so then we will use this database. Let me check the output. Okay, done. Then write this statement to create a table named student. Then execute. For the execution, you can use these two. You can just delete everything every time and write just the statement, but we have other options. You can put the cursor in the beginning here and use this button to execute the statement under the keyboard cursor, or highlight the statement and click on this to execute just the highlighted part of the code. So we can do this. Create table done. Inside we have 4 attributes. Let's continue. Create another table. Courses with 3 attributes. Then we will create the third table, which is the enrollment. Done. Then how to insert data inside the table. You can use these 3 statements to insert the data. Sorry. So take your time and insert the data in the table. Then to show your table after inserting data, you can use this statement. Select everything from student. This star means everything. How to update the student email, for example. Update students, set email to this one, where student ID equal to 2. Every time write the statement and execute. Update enrollment, then the grade to A+, for example, for one student. Delete one record from the students table where student ID equal to 3. Delete from enrollment where student ID equal to 1. And step number 7, we will try to modify the structure of the table using alter. We need to add phone number to the table. Then alter table courses, modify credit to small integer instead of integer. Last one, drop table. Don't write it and don't execute it, okay? Keep your tables inside the database. This was everything for today. Next session will be about the constraints and the operations of SQL. We will learn how to add and use the constraints, how to identify the relationships between tables, one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. And in another session, I will explain more operations of SQL. See you soon. Bye-bye.